Hello, dear Homypedia family. What if the most peaceful room in a Spanish colonial home was not the living room, not the courtyard, and not even the bedroom, but the kitchen, quietly opening into a secret garden? Imagine standing in a small kitchen early in the morning. The walls are softly lime-washed, the floor is warm terracotta under your feet. There is a wooden shelf with a few ceramic bowls, a small jar of olive oil, and a linen towel left gently beside the sink. Nothing feels polished in a cold way. Everything feels touched by time, light, and daily life. Then, just beyond the arched wooden doors, you see it, a private little garden, not a large estate garden, not a dramatic landscape, just a quiet green room outside the kitchen, filled with herbs, clay pots, climbing vines, and the kind of morning light that makes a home feel slower. This is the beauty of a Spanish colonial kitchen that opens into a secret garden. It does not try to impress you with size. It creates emotion through connection. The kitchen becomes more than a place to cook. It becomes a threshold between shelter and nature, between daily routine and private retreat. In many modern homes, the kitchen is designed to be efficient, bright, and perfect, but perfection can sometimes feel flat. A Spanish colonial kitchen has another kind of beauty. It welcomes irregular tile, aged wood, soft plaster, iron details, and small traces of use. It feels like a room where breakfast was just prepared, where herbs were just picked, where someone has stepped into the garden for a moment and will soon return. And that garden changes everything. It brings scent into the kitchen. It brings movement. It brings bird song, filtered light, and a little breeze through the doorway. A compact room suddenly feels deeper because the eye travels beyond the counter, beyond the arch, and into green life. Today, we are walking through this idea slowly, how a small Spanish colonial kitchen can open into a secret garden, and how that simple connection can make the whole home feel warmer, calmer, and more alive. The first thing to understand is that this design begins with the threshold. In an ordinary kitchen, a doorway is just a way to move from one room to another. But in a Spanish colonial home, the threshold can become the emotional center of the house. The arched opening is not only architectural, it is a pause. It frames the garden like a painting, and it tells you that the kitchen is connected to something softer beyond its walls.
Picture a pair of wooden doors, slightly imperfect, with aged iron hinges and a simple latch. When those doors are open, the kitchen does not end at the wall, it continues into the garden. The terracotta floor inside may meet stone pavers outside. The limewash may continue around the arch. A row of clay pots may blur the line between cooking space and planted space. This is why the secret garden does not need to be large. In fact, the smaller it is, the more intimate it can feel. A narrow garden with a citrus tree, rosemary, basil, lavender, and a shaded bench can feel more memorable than a large, empty backyard. The secret is enclosure. The garden feels hidden, protected, almost discovered by accident.
A kitchen connected to this kind of garden immediately feels more generous. Even if the kitchen is compact, the view gives it depth. Even if the counter is small, the garden gives the room breadth. You can stand at the sink and look out at leaves moving in the light. You can prepare tea beside a window and see clay pots catching the sun. This is one of the reasons Spanish colonial design feels so human. It does not separate life into hard categories. Cooking, resting, gardening, eating, and conversation can all happen near one another. The kitchen becomes a warm working room at the edge of nature. Materials are very important here. Handmade tile brings pattern without needing too much decoration. A soft blue, warm white, muted green, or earth-toned tile can make the backsplash feel alive. Rustic wood gives the kitchen weight and age. Terracotta keeps the room grounded. Lime-washed walls reflect light softly without the sharp glare of glossy paint. The best Spanish colonial kitchens also understand shadow. They do not need every corner to be bright. A little shade under a plaster hood, a darker wooden beam, or a deeper niche in the wall can make the morning light feel more precious. When sunlight enters through the garden door, it lands on surfaces slowly. It creates patterns on the floor. It makes the room feel cooler, older, and more peaceful. This is especially helpful for small homes. A compact kitchen can feel cramped if every surface is closed and heavy. But when one side opens toward a planted courtyard or garden, the whole room relaxes. The eye has somewhere to go. The air has somewhere to move. The daily rituals of cooking feel less enclosed.
Now imagine the kitchen layout. It does not need to be complicated. Along one wall, there may be a simple cooking area with a plaster range hood and open shelves. Along another wall, a sink placed near the garden view. Between them, a small table or movable island. Near the doorway, perhaps a narrow breakfast bench or a small round table where one person can sit with coffee while looking outside. This small breakfast corner is one of the most powerful details. It gives the kitchen a sense of welcome. It says, this is not only a workspace, this is a place to begin the day. A ceramic cup, a bowl of fruit, a folded napkin, and a chair turned slightly toward the garden can make the scene feel lived in, even without anyone there. A secret garden beside the kitchen should feel useful as well as beautiful. Herbs should be close enough to reach. A small water basin or fountain can add sound and coolness. A wall can provide privacy. Climbing vines can soften the edges. A lantern can make the garden usable at dusk. Nothing has to be grand. The charm comes from usefulness combined with atmosphere. For Homypedia homes, this is where emotion becomes design. A small kitchen opens into a garden, and suddenly the room feels like a sanctuary. The garden does not shout for attention, it simply waits. It gives the kitchen a living background, a little green silence behind the everyday tasks. There is also an old-world wisdom in this idea. Before homes depended so much on mechanical comfort, many traditional houses used courtyards, gardens, shutters, thick walls, and shaded openings to make rooms feel pleasant. A garden beside the kitchen can cool the air slightly, filter harsh sun, and create a gentle transition between inside and outside. But the deeper benefit is emotional. The kitchen becomes a place where small rituals feel meaningful. Washing herbs at the sink, opening the door in the morning, setting a cup on the table, watching light move across tile. These simple moments are what make a home feel loved. To make the design work, restraint matters. The strongest version uses a few beautiful elements: one arched doorway, one strong tile pattern, one rustic wooden shelf, a group of terracotta pots, one small tree, and perhaps one water feature. When the palette is limited, the space feels timeless. Colors should also be quiet. Warm white plaster, clay red floors, aged brown wood, soft green plants, and maybe a small touch of blue or ochre in the tile. These colors feel natural together. They feel as though they have belonged to the house for years.
When you step outside, the secret garden should feel like a continuation, not a separate scene. The same clay tones, the same soft whites, the same wood or iron accents can appear again. A small table, an herb shelf, a weathered bench, or a fountain basin can create a place to pause. This is why the design feels so rich even when it is small. It gives the home layers. There is the cooking layer, the threshold layer, the garden layer, and the emotional layer. Each one supports the other. The kitchen gives the garden purpose. The garden gives the kitchen soul. That is the quiet power of a Spanish colonial kitchen opening into a secret garden. It makes a modest space feel poetic without becoming impractical. It turns everyday life into something a little more beautiful. By the end of the walkthrough, what stays with us is not only the tile, the arch, or the garden itself, it is the feeling of connection. A kitchen like this reminds us that a home does not need to be large to feel generous. It needs moments of depth. It needs a place where light can enter softly. It needs materials that feel honest under the hand. It needs a small view that gives the heart somewhere peaceful to rest. The secret garden becomes the quiet companion of the kitchen. It brings freshness to the morning, shade to the afternoon, and warmth to the evening. It makes cooking feel less like a task and more like a ritual. It makes a cup of tea feel more meaningful. It makes a small home feel loved. And perhaps that is why Spanish colonial design continues to speak to so many people. It does not rush. It does not try to erase age or imperfection. It allows plaster to be soft, wood to be worn, tile to be handmade, and gardens to be slightly wild. It understands that beauty is often found in thresholds, in the space between indoors and outdoors, between work and rest, between ordinary life and quiet wonder. So, if you're dreaming of a kitchen with more soul, maybe the answer is not a bigger island or a brighter finish. Maybe it is a doorway. Maybe it is a small garden beyond the sink. Maybe it is one arched opening that lets herbs, sunlight, and stillness become part of the room. A Spanish colonial kitchen that opens into a secret garden is not only a design idea, it's a gentle way of living. Cooking with the door open, noticing the light, hearing leaves move, and feeling that even the smallest home can hold a private world of calm. If this kind of peaceful old-world home inspires you, subscribe to Homypedia for more warm design stories, tiny hacienda ideas, courtyard homes, and soulful spaces that make everyday life feel more beautiful.
And tell us in the comments, would you rather have a larger kitchen or a small kitchen that opens into a secret garden?